a C-section, like scar, like small like that. When they cut that open, sparks were flying. Cut me there to go inside and take the lymph nodes and the migrated silicone. That's when the sparks were flying, like sparking off my body.
And so talk about the smell and why, because you've said that a lot, how the smell made the surgeons leave the room, how they were giving you certain medications for you to just even get on a plane because the smell was so bad. Like, what was happening? Explain what was happening in your body.
Okay, well, that's two different scenarios. With when the tissues were getting necrotic, it was rotting. The tissues were rotting from the inside. But now, fast forward to the 9th surgery, the reconstruction and the lymph node removal, and that was also removal as well. That was the surgery that the sparks were like flames were coming off my body when they went to open it. And that smelled like petroleum, like gasoline in the room, they said. And that's why a lot of doctors, they tell women that, and I try to enforce this so much, that when doctors say they'll lipo it out or laser lipo, that it's very dangerous because you don't know what's in there. And let's just say a woman has whatever was in me and they go to do that, you burn up from the inside out, you're gonna catch on fire. So we don't know what it is.
This is, I mean, and you know what my thing is, and again, for everybody who's listening and who just tuned in, we're talking to the amazing 𝗕𝗂𝘁𝗁, who was our guest last night on Life Therapy. We were talking about, you know, these butt injections, and the whole reason we wanted to do the episode is because we want to give the right information, right, you know, good and bad, so that women who are trying to do it, who want to do it, who are thinking about doing, who have done it, have the proper information. It is like the phenomenon of our culture is this butt enhancement. And I said, you know what, we got to talk about it because we're walking around acting like the butt's not enhanced. I see girls, you know, moving around like, and I want to talk about it. I want to say, hey girl, great butt job. But why can't we, like, why is that offensive? You know, you got your butt done. Like, why is that a truth we can't talk about? Why are we getting these amazing augmentations, but the size of Georgia, and we're not talking about it, you know? And so that's why I wanted to do the show, because I, just like Life Therapy, you've heard me say this, you know, you guys, you are my family, my audience. You've heard me say the reason I wanted to do the show in the first place is to allow us to have conversations as a culture, as a community, that we're just not talking about. And that's where the therapy starts. We have to talk it out. I love that 𝗕𝗂𝘁𝗁 has joined us. She's not afraid to talk about it. She's dropping the bombs, you know, and the information. 𝗕𝗂𝘁𝗁, I want to ask you something. When we're talking to Kim, and she's not in here yet, so I'm going to even ask you in case she does not come on this platform. She was talking about how most of people who do any augmentation, it's coming from some degree of low self-esteem. My tits are not big enough. My butt's not big enough. I don't feel comfortable because my nose is crooked. My lips are not big enough. What do you say about that in terms of it being self-esteem? And here's the thing. I'm going to say my thing first, and I want to hear what you think. I don't think it's a bad thing if you go to research a doctor. I know a lot of doctors do consultations. I've had consultations before. I've had consultations that say, listen, you know, I work out and I have low body fat. Is there anything we can do to just kind of lift me up a little? I don't need big. I don't need enhanced. I just want a little lift. And they say, you know what, AJ? No, because we're going to use fat. There's no fat on you. You just have to squat longer and deeper, and you'll get the lift you want. Some doctors have said the little bit of lift you want when you hold your butt, they're like, you know, I can't even control that little bit of an augmentation. If I go in and do it surgically or injection, you're going to get more than you want because the little bit of lift you want is so little that, you know, do another 6 months of squats and you'll be there. So my question to you is, as somebody, like I'm saying, that I'm admitting too, that I've thought about it in terms of even just getting a consultation, you say what about the self-esteem thing? Do you agree with that?
I do. I will say this, though. It's personal preference to some people. Some people don't like to admit it. And let's make this very clear. I am not in any way against legal board-certified plastic surgery in any way. Trust me. But what I am against is illegal procedures that can be life-threatening.
Right.
And I definitely think so, because myself being a person that suffered with body dysmorphia, which I also speak about in my book, and recognizing it in children and parents recognizing the words that they say to their children. And what people don't realize, a lot of people like to blame it on social media, television, influence of hip hop stars. No. So low self-esteem does not start as an adult. That seed is planted in a child. And what people don't realize, if that seed was never planted, it can never be birthed. So if you have raised your child to have a high self-esteem from a young age, and as they grow up, there's nothing that society and no influence can make them feel a certain way, because there were seeds that were planted in me as a child. There's nothing that a person can tell me that's going to destroy my self-esteem in those areas. So it starts at home, and people love to point the finger, and they love to point out, and of course, when they point one, three is pointing back at them, and one is pointing right up at God. So you always have to remember, you better watch what you say around your kids, and you better watch what you say about yourself around your kids, because they pay attention to that. They're so impressionable, playing around, calling kids, hey, fat, and all that. That stuff sticks in the back of their heads. It starts out as from a child. It doesn't come from society.
You know, it's funny you're saying that too, because I don't know if you guys have seen the Janet Jackson documentary, which is really amazing. And at one point she says that, you know, as close as she and Michael were when they were little, he would tease her. And as much as it was funny, sometimes it would hurt. And I think the whole thing is that no matter who you are, I mean, this whole family grew up complete celebrity, right? But still, we're human. We have emotions, you know, we have a heart, and, you know, those kind of teasing when you're young, it can build a low self-esteem. Big head, like you're saying, being called big head, being called short legs, being called fat, or, you know, too skinny, or you ain't got no this, or you ain't got no that, or, you know, bad skin, or whatever it is, you know? So I think it's interesting that, you know, we're here. I mean, we're here meaning in a time and place where we're dealing with self-esteem in such a way that that we're almost, you know, willing to, like, as Kim said, she was willing to lay on the table and put her life in danger to get, you know, to get augmented. I mean, let's face it, you know, from what I've understood, Kanye's mom passed trying to get a surgery that doctors had told her that she wasn't medically sound for. And unfortunately, you know, she lost her life as a result of it. So, you know, my question is, what do you feel like is happening now? Like, you got your surgery years ago. You've been trying to push forward, not only for your own body, but to help other women, you know what's happening, like you're saying, in terms of your experience. What do you say now to women? Like you were saying earlier on TV One, like, don't do it, don't do it. If that's your opinion, I want to hear why you want to say that.
I definitely, first of all, with the butt injections, there are so many resources out here now, and people are speaking out so publicly about it now. It's not so cliche anymore. There are so, I mean, I don't think there's a person, I mean, there's a few people that may not know the dangers of it, but if you're in any type of pop culture, you've seen the number of different shows, the number of different public figures and celebrities that have come out and spoken out on it, that at the end of the day, we can't judge anybody for their choices, because there was nothing that anybody could tell me that kept me off that dirty couch in that lady's living room from getting pumped in my butt. There was nothing. My family tried. I was like, please, I'm not thinking about y'all. It was something I wanted, and it was something I was going to get, but I didn't have the resources that all these ladies have now.
I also, you know, I'm seeing comments, and, you know, I'm seeing a lot of people say, like, the body shaming is really out of hand. And that's a lot of where a lot of these surgeries are coming from. And I hear what you're saying, that sometimes the body shaming starts with just like this simple, what we think is simple teasing at home, right? In our family. Do you have any remedies that you think will help? I mean, just because, again, you've been through it, and now you're on the other end of it, you know, trying to move forward in your life. You say, you know, you take off your clothes and you're scarred. I mean, how does that happen in your relationships? Are you, you know, how has that been? Are you in a relationship now?
No, not exactly.
Do you have an effort in you that wants it, or are you ashamed of your body because of all the scarring?
Oh no, that's not the issue. I just don't, because I mean, I'm not completely single by choice. Okay. But it does affect it. But the good thing about it is because I'm so open about it, it's not a surprise. Right. And if I feel as though a person is shallow or it's going to be an issue, I don't deal with it. I mean, maybe that's a defense mechanism, but I've been blessed enough. I will be very honest. I have been blessed enough to not run into that. Right. Because I think it would probably destroy me. I'm not even that strong. Like, you know, I mean, people have said things, and of course, when they have nothing else to say, they love going to that. You and your ate up ass, you and your messed up, but like, girl, I say worse. I make jokes about this butt more than you can ever make. I'll give you 10 for every one you give me. Okay. What else you got to say? I'm alive, honey. And I'm thriving, girl.
And it's a whole different game when you actually almost were damn near dying. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different ball game. But why do you think? Last question before we go, you guys, and thank you so much for hanging out with me and 𝗕𝗂𝗲 tonight. Last question for you. Why do you think we're in a time now where there's so much shaming and judgment and just criticism? What do you think that is?
Okay, so now the pressure on these younger girls is a lot. It is a lot worse than my time. I'm 40 now. When I got it done, I was in my 20s. So at the time, it was just the video girls. It wasn't social media. Like, you know, I'm an old lady. I'm back on MySpace days. So the influence was not so much. I can only imagine what these millennials go through now, dealing with that. And you know what, I think I would have lost my mind if we had the influence of social media during my era. I'm in the era of the Black Men magazines and the video girl, the vixens, when it just started becoming a thing. Now it's the only thing. Now people always say, well, why didn't you get a BBL? We didn't have BBLs back then. There was no such thing as a BBL. No one.
But you know what? Somebody, I want to speak on this comment. 67 shamer. You're right. There's always. I want to repeat what this person said. There's always been shaming and judgment. It's just how everyone has a bullhorn now called social media. Oh my God, that is so profound, so profound. And the way we use it. See, that's the other thing. It's like something is making us as a community and as a culture. Something's making us feel like it's okay to shame or it's okay to bully. Now, for me, it's a little different because, like you said, from the time I was a little girl raised into my adulthood, there's nothing you're going to say to me that's going to pierce my self-esteem, especially because you don't know me. So there's no way a stranger with a phone in their hand or a stranger behind a computer is going to say anything that's going to mess with my self-esteem. What happens is when somebody tries to say something to me and I come back, they disappear. So now all of a sudden it's like, well, what was that about? Like, were you just trying to hurt my feelings? Were you trying to bully me? Yes, that's what it's called. And why are we in that space? You know, I just think, you know, it's got to stop. And I know that there's a lot of people that don't have skin as tough as me or you. And I just don't like the fact that people feel like it's okay to take life situations that you know nothing about and talk bad against someone or judge them or criticize or ridicule. So I hope with us getting to know 𝗕𝗂𝗲 a little bit more and hearing about her story, I hope it brings it home a little more. I mean, that's why I even wanted to do this. It's one thing to watch you on TV, sis. It's another thing to bring you into this platform because you are a real person, you know. You're not just somebody on TV. You know, you're not just somebody that came on for 10 minutes and we talked. We got connected. We talked. You know, here we are again. If you weren't interested in spreading your testimony, you wouldn't be here. But I love the fact that, you know, somebody, you're speaking to somebody, right? Somebody can now make a more intelligent decision. Whether it's yes or no, that's not up to us. But at least their decision is more intelligent, you know? And, you know, and I'm going to say there's a gentleman that came on that actually wanted to talk to me about my situation. Of course, you guys already know, I'm sure, because everybody in the world knows that me and my whole sex life went viral the last couple of years. And again, I'm bringing it up because I did a few interviews, and it's interesting how a lot of the journalists came at me like, you know, I don't know if you want to talk about it. And I was like, well, I wouldn't have brought it up if I didn't want to talk about it. I brought it up on purpose because I wanted to say, listen, I know I'm not the only girl who's ever done it or who wants to do it. You know, you could try to shame me the way you want, but you know, that's not where we should be. Even if my lifestyle is not something you approve of or it's for you, that's fine. It doesn't mean you have to say a comment against my choice. I'm not saying a comment against yours. I just don't hang out. You want to eat steak at night? Good. I'm a pescatarian. I don't have to say anything about your steak. I just don't eat it. You know what I mean? So I just think that we have to do our best, everybody in here. I hope that this particular live, we can decide to do a little less. We'll get to a lot. I'm just going to say do a little less judging, a little less criticism. Think about the people you're talking about and talking to. And I'm going to say this, even if you have your own opinion, ask questions. I have my own opinion about butt injections or augmentation, but I'm not judging 𝗕𝗂𝗲𝗲 about it. I'm asking her. I want her to educate me. you know, on what's happening. So I say, let's go for that. Let's go for the more education as opposed to the judging and the criticism. Right, sis?
Exactly. Because what I eat, you don't poop. And what you eat, I don't poop, because I can barely poop what I eat. So please don't even go there with people. Like, let people live their lives. People are so worried about what somebody else is doing. Like, if we are stuck together as a woman, especially, and no offense to any other races, but especially as Black women, if we stuck together more, we wouldn't be so brokenhearted and so upset. And we wouldn't be like crying over someone's dusty son. Like, we should stick together more. And women just don't do it.
Well, you know what? Well, we have to start somewhere. And that's why I'm so glad you came on. Everybody, I'm glad you joined our conversation tonight. Our time is up. But just know I'm praying for you. You know, I'm here for you. I told you that we shot the episode. You guys remember Life Therapy, Tuesday nights at 10. We're going to keep the conversations going. And if you haven't seen the shows, tune in on demand. There's 12 episodes that you can catch. We covered so many different topics. This is our last IG Live because TV1 Life Therapy goes dark until June. So sis, this is our last one for right now, but Life Therapy will be back in June, primarily because my schedule's crazy. The overflow is such a blessing that we'll be back in June with Life Therapy. But until then, a lot less judging, a lot more questions, a lot more conversation. Don't just judge and assume. Ask, talk, let's connect, okay?
Amen.
Love you, sis. Bye, you guys.
I love you too. Bye.
I love you too. Good night.
Good night.